Yeah, so got disconnected. I'm not sure where I left off, but the idea is that I was sharing with you guys that I just escaped and got stuck in town. And in my car, and it was snowing, and it's in the dark, and I'm alone. So these were perfect circumstances to kind of really be stuck with my own so-called demons. And the demon is nothing other than unfelt emotional stuff. So also the idea here is that I'm journaling this process because I really want to go for it now. The process of honoring the love and the relationship by feeling the end of it, feeling everything connected to it, and not escaping in busyness. Although I am busy with meaningful stuff, and I'm still going to be busy, but or with substances or with relationships, or to avoid it like this, as I've done most of my life. And what's happening is that by bravely looking at what's on top, it links to a whole tributary of all other losses. The sadness that we have, I have, and the House of the Beloved that made a comment in the video here, that this sadness that came, it's not just one event sadness or loneliness. It's like it's a big river that for me, I can see that this relationship losses, ending of the relationship, ending, another relationship, then ending of being in a spiritual community, ending the loss of teachers, and losses of marriage, loss of country, all of these losses, and of all the way links to 6-year-old loss of deep relationship, and like it starts like when I was 2 months old, separation from the mother, and God knows, I think it's God knows indeed. This is called the wound of separation, which is very likely connected to also this separating from source. Although this is an illusion, the sages say that, and we can actually, some of us are sure of that, and as Einstein would say, it's an optical illusion, separation. The greatest physicist said that this separation, sense of separation, they are separate things. Like Mihai, separate from you and from other people and from the trees. And this is an optical illusion, even from a scientific point of view. But somehow it is an optical illusion. However, it feels very real until we are seeing it fully. And then I guess in order to transcend it, we need to feel it. We can't intellectually, in a non-dual way, do it like that. I don't think so. It didn't work for me. So yeah, I think this is the separation from source. Although we are not separate from source, somehow it's almost like a game of, hey, dude, go get embodied, get the body, and you start to feel separate. And also separation from coming out of like birth, the birth. So all of this, I think they are all connected. I can see they're all connected. And the deeper I go into my own process, from this relationship down to just crying on the floor, moaning, and shouting with grief and pain and calling mama, mama, mama. So, and I can see it's not even about my, it's not about my physical mother. It's about the real mother, somehow the sense of being separate from the real mother and father. Anyway, so it's a lot of ideas here. So I'm stuck in the night. It's snowing, and I'm just, and also all of this stuff was already here, and it's just perfect condition. So I'm just going into a sadness repression session, and it was not so much repressed anymore. So I just allow it, and it got really, really, it's really hard, guys. I mean, it's hard. I have tools. I have stable within myself. It's really hard. This level, this what's calls the third dimension. What's there? What's lurking at the third dimension, where we have our deepest woundedness and trauma. This is really painful stuff that we avoided all our life, and our ancestors avoided, and maybe it's past life. Fuck. So it was just like, not just I'm sad. You know, you guys from KI know I'm sad. I want to feel this sadness. I'm sad. What does the sadness say? The sadness says this. Yeah, well, this is good. But no, I was in like a river of like, and it was like seemingly unbearable. It was like I was just, fuck, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't want to feel this. I don't. It's like So that this like was just had to give it a voice. Need to like moan, and like to just a lot of tears, and the words that came, and like somehow I went really deep. Not at all in control. You can't be in control. Do these things. You know, it would be awesome if somebody were there and to hold space and hug me and whatever. It would be great, but it's nice to do that, and I have a great facilitator. I would sometimes do some work with her, and it's important at some stages of processing this to do that, to be held, you know, psychically, consciously, and maybe even physically. It's very important. I had this many times. I had it. Now at this stage is good to not be held, and to do as Francis would say, let it devour me, these energies, and to feel the aloneness, or whatever that is called, and do that a bunch of times, and it is processed out. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to understand. I am understanding various things which I already knew, and you are going to understand these things. So sometimes it's important to be stuck and faced with the pain of separation. And I have a shaman friend who was who also went through similar situation, and we were talking about this relational ending and stuff like that, and he shared with me also he was working with people in the jungle, and there were like 30 people there, like depending on him, and as a healer, and then he would be so dealing with his own stuff, and then he told me he was just like hugging this tree and was like crying there until it became mud under his eyes. And but that's a true healer, to feel his own stuff. Doesn't need to be someone who has it all together, and or has a mask or pretends or something. I mean, I'm sure that there are some sages out there that already felt through all of that, I know some of them. Some of them I'm not so sure about them anymore, but that already, you know, they have done this. It has been complete. They felt everything. They transcended everything while being embodied. Well, I'm not there. And it's okay. So, oh yeah, the shaman was telling me, Philip, like this sadness, this grief, this is not about this woman. This is not about this woman. I knew that. He realized with his process, it was not about this woman. It's about that. It's about the other woman and the other woman. And it's about the dad, and it's about mom. It's about Mihai. This sadness, it's about me. It's not about this woman. Although there is a, you know, grief is totally natural. Sadness, loss, it's natural. It's connected to this woman. And underneath in grief, at the very bottom of grief, and is love. It's love. It's just love. And if we can't feel grief, we don't allow the grief and the loss and the sadness, we won't feel, we can't fully feel the love. And that was my story. I've been in all this relationship that, yeah, you know, attraction and sex and all of that, it's all nice. But at some point there was a cap on my love, my ability to be open, to love fully. And I could see that, you know, in order to avoid, my mechanism was to avoid loss and pain from childhood and many a lifetime maybe. So you don't want to get too close, you know, because then you may feel this that I'm feeling now. But then if I don't feel what I'm feeling now, I cannot really love. So anyway, coming back to being stuck in the snow, in the night, in the cold, alone, in the dark. And I'm just honest with you guys, it was like terrible, man, like terrible. And then it passed. So I'm okay. Yeah, it didn't kill me. I'm here. It was a big like eruption, but also what was sweet and so magical is also in this sadness, sometimes there's this thing, I'm alone, which when I'm in a regular state of consciousness, I can see that this is a complete illusion. But when those energies are, I mean, those energies, they have the signature of like alone in the whole world. And it's like a really child thing. So as I was swimming in that, you know, there were two guys. There was somebody who I helped when he was in deep distress a bunch of times, a friend of mine. And then there's a homeless guy in town who I don't know, I liked, and I felt a compassion for him, and I helped him out with just some stuff. And so I think, and I called my friend. I was like, hey man, I'm stuck, can you help me? He was like, yeah brother, I'm gonna be there for you, yeah, I'm showing up. So then I hang up and I wait for the guy who had to go for the snow and make all this like heroic efforts to rescue me. Still crying there. And then I see the homeless guy. Homeless, like it's fucking cold. It's like, God, it's like he comes by and I'm like, hey dude, it's you. It's like, yeah, hi. So he comes, gives me a hug. It's like, how are you? It's like, how can I help you, man? Let me help you. Do you have a shovel? I was like, I don't have a shovel, man. Let me find a shovel. He goes, homeless guy. He goes around, comes back in 20 minutes with a shovel. He's like shoveling. I knew he's going to work with the shovel, but it's just, was just amazing how even in the depths of aloneness, we are not alone. And it was magical how these two guys that I helped, they helped me now. Anyway, so I was saved and everything, and it's all good, and I'm safe here now. Right, so coming back to the comment of the House of the Beloveds, the House of the Beloved that they shared about psychedelic. So, yeah, so you shared that after ayahuasca or plant medicine journey, which whatever could be peyote, mushroom, could be MDMA, and I'm very familiar with this experientially. I know that basically ayahuasca or plant medicine can actually go in there and open the locks, the safe of these skeletons, which are unfelt feelings and trauma energy. And that now you feel it, and it can be very intense, especially if we are not used to it. Usually there is some safeguard in this process, in a way that usually it doesn't open what we are not ready to face. However, that's what happens. That's what happened to you. It unlocked the repression for a moment, and all energies they will come, and then you will cry or be sad for months and months, and that's really tough. But surely it's good. It's good for you. I know it's good for you. I mean, it's good to know what's happening and to have tools and to be able to welcome them safely, these things, and to cry and to have some informed community or some spiritual friend that helps, and to know that there's nothing wrong with you. But this is very common, and it happened in my case. All this abandonment, separation trauma for me was totally frozen. I wouldn't feel it. It was playing out in patterns in relationship, patterns of avoiding to go deep, and patterns of leaving the person, and patterns of not feeling and distracting and whatever. But I didn't actually feel the pain, emotional pain, until maybe I was 35. And actually it started to come connected to doing plant medicine, and it will come in the journey. I mean, it was facilitated skillfully by people who are trauma informed. Yeah, so this is very important here. There are many so-called shamans and new agey healers that are just flying from the seats of their pants. They have no idea what they are dealing with there, and they haven't faced their own shit yet. So be careful. But at the same time, there are people who have experience with this, and they are trauma informed, or people come from a serious lineage of shamans, like my friend Philip. So yeah, it will just come, in the form of like everything I was there present, and consciousness and all of that, and suddenly this like overwhelming distress and overwhelming terror and sadness and sense of a frozen sense, all of this, where later I could understand this was like the abandonment, separation, trauma energies in this life, and maybe from other lives. Then I did other plant medicines, and especially when I experienced 5-MeO-DMT, which is the Everest of psychedelics, because you are the least in control. You are totally out of control. It's as if you are on a top of Everest and you are just falling into your own subconscious and unconscious, collective unconscious, and you are fucked. But also it is very beautiful and deeply transformational experience, although can be way too much for some people or can be so out there that it's hard to integrate. But for me also that the 5-MeO DMT brought this, I was shot, plunged into a cauldron, a reactor of fear and anguish and terror that was like from 0 to 100. And it was just, this happened multiple times. Wasn't aware of my body, but my body was just shouting and shouting like bloody hell. It was just shouting for 10 minutes. And anyway, so experienced some of these things, I survived, and it was actually very helpful. I guess, I don't know, maybe also I'm raised in Romania and all this pain body from Eastern Europe, the pain of my ancestors and oppression and hopelessness and terror and all of this in the 5-MeO DMT, they all come all at once, and I just couldn't. Yeah, so what I'm doing now is more manageable, but that's another discussion, this thing with the fear, repression, fear and terror, fear. So I totally, that's what's happening. I see it over and over in psychedelic space. It unlocks some of these things, and for people who are ready and for people who have done some work, they can make more benefit. For people who are not ready and have done much work, it can still be somehow useful, but it will evoke strong resistance. And then it's like, it's very unpleasant. So I think I'll stop here for now. We do want to talk about this maybe next time, about this more precisely and be more focused, and about this concept of the wound of love. This is a term from Adida. I never met him. I personally wasn't so fond of him. However, my friend who I work with, the founder for Center for Transformational Psychotherapy, a very wise therapist, he introduced me to his teaching, and also my friend Spencer. He somehow was deeply impacted by this teaching, and also a student of Adida, Satyama, who is a contemporary teacher, although not known and not interested in having big following, works with small group of people deeply. Anyway, so he introduced me to this concept, and gradually I got more and more into it. And this concept of the wound of love that cannot be healed at this level. And I think that, yeah, and this is a bigger discussion about it, but this is very much connected with what Buddha was saying, that, here is that everybody you love, you're going to lose. Everybody you love, everybody you cherish, everything is going to end. And all that we care about, and the body and our world and the loved ones and the children and everything, we are going to lose. Seemingly, I don't want to escape into, oh yeah, we'll meet on the other side and we all one, which is true, but still at the human level here, that's how it works. Buddha was saying this is what's happening. And so the wise man needs to come to terms to this loss, sadness, separation, abandonment, separation, and trauma. However, it cannot be resolved at this level. So the level where the problem is. So I want to talk more about this and actually bring this idea in a future talk about the wound of love that can never be healed. I'm going to share, some protocol how to work with sadness, repression, and all of that, but I'm not doing this now. I'm continuing with this. And also this idea of dreams, what's happening. And I know I have other friends that are actually therapists or deep spiritual warriors that are willing to face their deepest wounded trauma energies, and the more conscious you are, the more you can do it. And there's this phenomena that it comes up in dreams. Sometimes, it's interesting because in the dream space, our repression barrier is offline, and stuff we try to keep at bay during the day, they come at night. So yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who was experiencing this intense terror and intense things in the night, and which is like what she had to deal with in childhood, and now she's processing it. And I also, even like if maybe a week, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, when I was more like the beginning of this process, of this going for the grief, and I was still not feeling much. I was just starting to poke it, to try to bring it out. I had this dream where in my dream, I was just crying so bad. I was just so devastated by this deep pain of loss that is in my dream. So I woke up, I was like, oh my God, it's like this is so intense. And but I wasn't feeling it actually during the day much. But as I started to do the sadness repression, grief repression, then it started to come more and more to thaw out. It's frozen in a sense of it's like this contraction. But as I would do the inquiries, it will thaw out in crying and sadness and moaning and words and more. Now it's like it's much more. It's kind of every day, parts of the day, in the night for sure, in the morning, comes as a contraction. But I know what it is. So in the morning when I have time and I need to make time, I didn't make time today. I just go in meditation and go into the sadness repression protocol and inquiries. And then it goes into sadness and crying and stuff. But I think it's going to be a longer journey. And I'm committed to doing that. And I know I'm not alone. I think that, yeah, what one gains, all gain. And there are people out there who have bravely done that. I have a friend of mine that she did that. Yeah. And I could see that she was telling me, and I could see I was afraid to do that. I escaped. I jumped in another relationship. I jumped into smoking weed. I just avoided the cauldron. So, yeah, although, I must tell you, most of the day I'm great, inspired, feeling good, effective, efficient, and yeah, good, beautiful. Life is good. And let's see. yeah, stop here now. And yeah, I really I'm grateful that you guys are not judging this. And if you judge it, then you probably don't get it. And if you judge it, you probably wouldn't have watched so much anyway up to here. But I appreciate the support and the YouTube psychic holding. And I'm going to share more this process. I think this will make me a much better therapist, facilitator, whatever I'm doing will make me a better person. And feel free to bring any questions or comments or areas of interest, or share anything to do with this that I'm talking about. We can get into it together. All right. Thank you.